I left there, moved on to HSBC. From that point onwards, I entered the family business where I became the managing director. At the time, there was a lot of regulatory change surrounding the business, so I had to create and integrate all the policies and procedures to ensure that it was compliant. From then, once we'd grown the business, we sold the business, and I then entered into another role within another family business, which was in the training sector. We restructured the entire business from top down, to then later sell that business as well. Between that point and now, I found myself moving to Cyprus for my daughter. And Cyprus, basically, if you've not heard in the news, it's the first country where the banks decided to exercise their right to take their depositors' money, as there was unsecured creditors to the bank during the bail-in process. This meant that the two largest banks, Laiki and the Bank of Cyprus, were forcibly merged together. 100% of uninsured deposits over €100,000 was taken from Laiki customers. This was both people and businesses. And 47.5% of business and people's deposits from the Bank of Cyprus was also haircut to prop up the failing banks. The whole idea was to tax the Russian money that wasn't there anymore, and they managed to get out before the bail-ins occurred. A lot of the global media made it out to be a lot worse in Cyprus itself than what was really happening. I never once found a cash point that didn't have any money that I could withdraw, because they did introduce the strict capital controls immediately. And Cypriots aren't stupid. They're not going to go stand outside a bank that is closed for 2 weeks in a hope to get some money out. They knew it wasn't going to be open. So they just sat around, talked with their family, and it just built up the anger and the distrust in the banks that they trusted more than their family with their money. And a big thing for Cypriots is to leave a legacy for your family, for your children, for your grandchildren. That's no longer possible because that money's gone. All they've been left with is shares within the bank that are worth not very much. The price has crashed, as you can imagine. So, within Bitcoin, a lot of people thought that all the Cypriots would start running into Bitcoin as a saviour. It was never going to happen. Many Cypriots don't spend a lot of time on the internet because of the nice climate. They spend time with their family at the beach and not sat behind a computer like I do myself, and a lot of people in here will also do. So people just don't know what Bitcoin is. All the news stories are the first Bitcoin ATM in Cyprus, it's coming. That was great for me. I was really looking forward to that. Kind of disappointed it didn't happen. Could have done with an easier way to get Bitcoin at the time. And exchanges were saying for Cypriot people, if they deposit, they will get zero fees on their transfers, which is all great. The banks are closed. We can't use internet banking. We couldn't get money in. And again, people just didn't know what Bitcoin is. So prior to that, I had already started a thought process about what would enable the average man, the average woman in the street that doesn't spend a lot of time on the computer, what challenges would they face and what barriers are there to the mass adoption of Bitcoin. And then once everything happened with the banks, it was the big bang event that is required to start any kind of revolution. So from that process, NeoMB was born. We are going to be providing the most simple solution for people to access and use the Bitcoin protocol for what they see fit. The biggest part for Cypriots is not a way to earn money, to use it as a store of value. It's to just ensure that people, without their permission, can't just put their hand into their account or their wallet and just take the money without them having any say on the matter. So to do that, it's all great. Bitcoin is wonderful for stopping people taking your money, but it's very technical. In its raw format, Bitcoin is very off-putting to the non-tech-minded person. So what we're going to do is provide branches where Cypriots can take in their euros and exchange them for Bitcoin. We will then put the Bitcoin into a hosted wallet if they see fit, or they can walk out with their own hardware wallet or paper wallet that we can provide for them. The way that they will manage their wallet will be very similar to what they're already used to, so we're not enforcing too much change on them immediately. People need to make changes slowly with their daily routines and their spending habits. To do it all at once, we would just face barriers. So we want to give them a way to use Bitcoin in a way that they're already used to handling their finances and dealing with existing financial institutions. The B payment network is our take on Visa and MasterCard, because it also answers the question, I've got my Bitcoins, now what can I do with them? And people aren't very tech-wise in Cyprus, as I've covered already. So we're giving them a debit card which is linked to their wallet, and this will work on our own internal systems. It's not connected to Visa or MasterCard in any way. So they can spend their Bitcoins, and we can also create somewhat of a closed-loop economy. So the average person will be able to use Bitcoin to pay for their food, shopping, fuel, and utility bills. Then the merchants can also pay their suppliers through using their cards as well. Another thing that we're addressing is the price volatility. It's very off-putting to the average person in the street, so what we're going to do is offer a service where we can use our own reserves to top up the customer's wallet if the price drops, and if it goes the other way, the balance transfers into our reserves once it starts rising. The only real answer to curing the volatility is volume, of which we are going to be adding to in the masses. That's what we plan to do anyway. So we're going to be removing the technicalities, the volatility, and the ease of access to Bitcoin without having to enforce too many changes on our customers. And with the big network, we're going to give them a simple way that they're already used to interacting with their money and spending their money. We're constantly asked the question, why don't you just create a wallet for the smartphone that's linked to the Neo account? Smartphone usage in Cyprus has a market penetration of about 25%, which to everybody in here will sound absolutely crazy, but the Nokia standard ringtone is the most common annoying noise you can hear in Cyprus. And so we're not going to be bringing that immediately. It is on our priorities, but it's pretty far down the list at the moment. The biggest questions that we're getting as well is regards to how are we going to protect ourselves against falls in the price of Bitcoin. We currently don't have that many trading platforms that we can use to strengthen our own positions during any volatility, and also volatility provides any good trader with the opportunity to strengthen their position. So what we're also doing is we're going out and speaking to a lot of the existing trading platforms that operate within the traditional markets in Cyprus. There are a lot of platforms that are based in Cyprus because of the great tax benefits that being in Cyprus brings. And they're very, very welcoming. They've heard of Bitcoin, they don't really know too much about it, they just see the charts of up and down. So once we explain to them that is something that can be addressed with volume, they 100% agree. And every meeting that I've had, every single one of them has been making plans on what they can offer their existing clients in Bitcoin. So it's been extremely positive. Also, the key to our success will be marketing it, because we need to build a trust with the Cypriot people. They just had their trust absolutely destroyed by the behaviour of both the government and the banks by are taking their money. So through our marketing, we're going to be very open, honest and transparent with everything that we do. We can and we will be ensuring that there is no small print, that we can hide little clauses away where it says that our customers are unsecured creditors to us, because they're not. We hold their bitcoins in their wallet for them, as the security of holding your wallet is, one, very tricky for the normal person, and two, absolutely, it's got to be done right. So with marketing, we're taking a very straight, direct approach to telling them that they can take back control of their own money if they use the services that we offer, or Bitcoin itself. We're very much interested in providing the knowledge on Bitcoin to the masses as well, in languages, in the language that they understand without becoming too technical. We're also going to be advertising on TV, radio, out of home, on the billboards, with airlines. We've also got lots of exciting activities, PR activities planned for below the line, and they include Guinness World Record attempts, where we are going to be going around the streets of Cyprus with boards that say, "I am the Neo economy." Neo translates as new from Greek into English, and also many other languages, because we want to promote the fact that the people are the economy, not the banks. And through that, we're going to be creating the world's largest photo collage, which will also bring a lot of public interest in Cyprus, because things like that just don't happen in Cyprus. We've already had a lot of local media coverage and interest. I get phone calls every day. I can guarantee you today I'll get 10 calls from different journalists wanting personal interviews with myself to explain exactly what we're doing. So we have just been raising the capital to ensure that we can get started, so we don't create false promises for the people. Every story that so far that's been written in Cyprus has highlighted the fact, the benefits of what Bitcoin can bring to the people of Cyprus, and also the benefits of being an early mover into the Bitcoin market is going to bring benefits for Cyprus itself. And we're trying to create a whole new industry, which brings me on to the regulation and the regulatory side of things. We are working with Christos Constantinou and KPMG. They're our accountancy and auditing partners. Between ourselves, KPMG, and the lawyers, we are now directly in contact with the regulators in Cyprus, in the central bank, with the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission. We are proposing to them a set of legal guidelines and a framework that we believe to be sufficient and clear for Bitcoin businesses to operate within. Because very much, as we've noticed in the US, that the existing frameworks are very restrictive to innovation and also very much square pegs into round holes. So because we've got very reputable lawyers and KPMG who need no introduction, the lawyers and KPMG do believe that once we put together the framework that we want to operate within, the central bank and the regulators will be welcoming of those facts. So we can have a direct input into the regulations and the framework that we've got to operate within. So that will also create a hotbed and a safe haven for Bitcoin businesses to operate from within Cyprus. Cyprus now is crying out for outside investment from external parties, from outside of the country, sorry. So we've got that as well, that we've already said to them, and they're very interested because they can see, all they have to do is type Bitcoin into Google, and they can see all the venture capital that's being poured into startups within the space. So Cyprus wants a piece of that market, and it will also create a whole new industry for Cyprus, which will be brilliant to move away from the traditional banking sector and We have got the risks of being the first into the mass adoption, or the real mass adoption for the average man and woman in the street. That we fail. If we fail, our customers' bitcoins are still safe because they're held within their wallets, and we're going to be using the multiple signature address. So we're going to be using the multiple signature addresses to enable the customers to protect themselves and their inheritance for their children and grandchildren and the rest of their families. Because currently, if you don't share your private keys with anybody or your password to decrypt your wallet, once you sadly pass away, that money's gone. There's nobody that can access that money. So that was another problem that we needed to address. And if we fail as a business, we need to ensure that our customers can still obtain their funds, and we'll be doing that through a third legal party, which will be outside of Cyprus and outside of the EU. All the customers will receive, upon startup, a detailed guide on how to access their money if we're not there anymore. And we want others to emulate what we're doing in Cyprus, around the world, and even in Cyprus. Because then if we fail for whatever reason, we can allow other people to take over the management of their wallets if they wish, or they can go directly through the third legal party to withdraw their bitcoins to their own wallet or back into the euro or the Cypriot pound or whatever currency they're using in Cyprus at that time. We're very much focused on creating that closed loop economy. We want to drive the adoption through the merchants. The merchants are very key to what we're hoping to achieve. We can offer instant settlements, much lower transaction fees to what they are currently offered through Visa and MasterCard and Amex, the more traditional networks. So once it becomes clear to the merchants that Bitcoin is better, faster, and much cheaper than what they're currently paying, then they will promote it to their customers because it works out better for themselves when somebody pays using a B card. And that pretty much brings me to an end of it. Again, Cyprus has seen that Big Bang event that allows revolution to occur. There is no other place other than maybe Argentina where there is the distaste towards the traditional establishment. So we believe that we've got the ideal platform to enable Bitcoin to be brought in a simple form and a usable format to the masses. So we will be opening our first branch as a soft opening 3rd of January, and we'll start accepting money for Bitcoins from the 1st of February. So that brings me an end to everything that I've got to say. If anybody's got any questions, please feel free to... Sure.
You said we'll be providing the cards to the customers, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And will they use any shops like paying with the Cypriot pounds or
Basically, the B card is connected to their Bitcoin wallet. We have our own point of sale terminals, so they walk into the store, pick out what they want to purchase, go to the teller. The teller tells them the value in euros, depending on the type of account that they've got with ourselves. Put the card in, enter the PIN number. We are introducing fingerprint technology as well as a second layer of authentication. Because of the lack of smartphones, we can't do it through a smartphone. We're having to do that because Bitcoin is irreversible, as most people in here know. So we wanted to bring in a second layer of authentication which doesn't slow down the transaction time, because to create a phone call or an SMS text message would slow slow down the transaction time and it creates another barrier because Bitcoin should be faster. So it's enter the PIN number, scan the finger, Bitcoin is then moved from their wallet to the merchant's wallet. The merchant can then use their card to pay one of their suppliers, or they can go into a branch and exchange that back for euros, or they can send it through the traditional banking system, through SEPA or wire transfer.
Is the terminal also compatible with other wallets? Maybe just send money to
Yes, we are developing it because we want to introduce Cyprus to the rest of the existing Bitcoin world, and Cyprus is a beautiful country with a very strong tourist industry. So the terminals will generate a QR code that existing Bitcoin users can scan and pay, but that can also incur data roaming charges, which many people here in Amsterdam might realise when they get home. So we are going to be offering prepaid cards that they can load one time or as many times as they want. Touch wood, we will be offering them direct through the airlines as well, so people will be able to buy these prepaid cards on the aeroplane on the way into Cyprus. So people can just top up once when they're connected to the Wi-Fi in the hotel and then use that card around Cyprus. Any more? Yes. No, it will. We ourselves hold both euros and Bitcoin for trading our own reserves. We don't trade with customers' reserves. So when a customer comes in, we literally sell them Bitcoins and put them into their wallet. They hold their funds in Bitcoin. So we're not holding euros for the customers. We're selling them Bitcoin. Anybody else?
Do the merchants get paid in fiat currency or Bitcoins?
They get paid in Bitcoin, but they can then use that Bitcoin from their wallet in either using their B card to pay their suppliers, or they can go into a branch and exchange that back into euros if they so wish, or transfer out using SEPA or the wire transfer system. We make our money through several different ways. Initially with what are the pegged accounts, when the price increases and the Bitcoin funds get added to our reserves, that is one stream of income. To rely on that alone would be crazy, very risky. That is why we're also going to be offering insurance products, hardware wallets where we can make a profit, and also directly Bitcoin denominated accounts where we receive the exchange fee. We'll charge an exchange fee on direct Bitcoin wallets like you would when using Bitstamp, Mt. Gox, and everything like that. Also, we have several different avenues that we're now investigating and moving and making progress with, such as international remittance. So we're going to be also entering into the Western Union MoneyGram space as well. So. Oh yes, if a merchant sells something, we will charge them 0.5% fee, just under 1%, to ensure that we charge less than the traditional payment methods. Yes, we'll be charging the first 1,000 merchants are getting free hardware and also 0% transaction fees, because we wanted to make sure there was no barriers to entry for the first 1,000 merchants within Cyprus. So from that point on, once those 1,000 have gone, we'll charge $14.99 a month for the hardware rental. No, from the initial idea, the whole business was developed around having no dependence on existing banking infrastructure, other than being able to send SEPA payments out and wire transfers. We wanted to ensure that we had no exposure to the traditional banking sector, because when you start taking away their customers, the first place that they're going to try and cause you problems is by choking the flow of money. So we've taken that out of the equation, so to ensure that we go into the market with the strongest possible hand with 1,000 are free forever and 0% transaction fees forever. We just wanted to ensure that there is no arguments for them to accept them, because we're not going to attract the customers if they can't spend money anywhere.
So what type of institution are you setting up? Like if you're going to handle it, if you're totally separate to banking, then you're going to have to run the clearing yourself, all that kind of stuff in euros. So how are you going to do that?
I was hoping that I wouldn't be under a certain NDA by today. Unfortunately, we've not been able to progress that further. We don't fit into a box. We're very much trying to escape the whole bank tag, because one, it's not trusted in Cyprus anymore, and two, as with many things Bitcoin, we don't fit into a certain box. It's very grey. I am looking for a term. Essentially, we're an exchange, a wallet, a hosted wallet provider, and a payment gateway provider. So through the login process that we're going through with KPMG and the lawyers, hopefully we'll get a term that really does fit what we're going to achieve, because we are literally writing a handbook of what we're going to be doing. We are going to be connected to the existing banking infrastructure, but the way that we're going to be doing that means that we're not essentially a bank. I can't give any more information.
But do you still have bank risk then when you, like, let's say you're using a bank to clear euros, and if you're using a Cypriot bank, could they not come in and take the euros out?
We're not using a Cypriot bank. We do have a partner, so when we accept the euros in exchange for the Bitcoin, those euros are no longer ours, and we are connected to, we will be connected to an external financial services provider, but they're not essentially a bank themselves either. So I really do wish that I could give you the name of the company that we're going to be using for that, because we take the euros, hold the euros, and they're just transferred to a G4S secure holding facility. They're no longer our property, so we don't have the risk of holding that ourselves, and we don't need to have the license to hold those, because it's not our bank that we're not the bank that's holding those euros.
Yeah, you're white labeling somebody else's account. Yeah. But does that solve the issue of the money getting taken out of the account? Potentially,
how does that solve the issue?
So, like, euros were confiscated in Cyprus.
Yeah.
So what's to stop them confiscating the euros from?
Because the service that we're using isn't a traditional bank, so we're not an uninsured or an unsecured creditors to that bank. They are literally just a money transmitter, so they hold the euros on our behalf. The risk that we've removed is by not placing the funds with the Bank of Cyprus or Hellenic Bank in Cyprus, so they can't see us as a competitor and freeze accounts for 30 days or even longer to stop us moving them funds around to acquire Bitcoin. So we are still connected to the traditional banking network, but not within Cyprus. No, it's out of hands, yes. Yeah. Any, so I think that's about time's up.